Lights good?
And you're on.
Hi, thanks for being here. I'm Clare Cooley, and this is my live read from my memoir, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. I want to start by thanking you for being here and for telling your friends and associates about this. I also want to thank the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding me a grant to do these live reads. It's been very deeply fulfilling and heartwarming to connect with you all this way in what I like to call a virtual visit, because it does feel like a visit with you. And I'm very grateful for this economical, ecological way to connect with people around the world. And it's what time it is in the world for us to walk as lightly on the planet and share and connect in ways that are healthy, in respect for the environment and one another. So today's story is called Memoirs of a Squid. I'm going to read it and then show you some art that, for those of you who are new, I have 52 stories in my book, which is right here, and 68 pieces of art, because creative reverie and contemplations, meditations on nature, in nature, what's gotten me through the adversity in my life, and that's what I want to share with everybody else, a way we can heal ourselves and live in harmony with the environment and each other. So the art will be shown after the story, and then we have some special treats for you today, so I'll save that for after the story. So the story, as I said, is called Memoirs of a Squid, and I'm going to move my book so that if I want to sit down, I get to.
We're going to go live on Instagram. One moment, we're going to go live on Instagram now, so say hi to Instagram.
Hi, Instagram, and all you wonderful human beings out there in Instagram world. Thank you for being here, and I'm about to read a story from my memoir, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. And this story is called Memoirs of a Squid, and it is chapter 33 in my book. And after the story, we'll share some art and some other special things that will be the first time on this show. Memoirs of a Squid. Squid's restaurant was a trendy hotspot where every type of creature in the sea of humanity swam. It was across the street from a church of Scientology, up the street from the bus depot, and nearby a homeless shelter. It was never totally calm sailing. Having recently moved back to San Francisco and being newly financially responsible for my nephews and mother without any help from my siblings, I needed more income. I ran into the bartender from Squid's, and he mentioned they were hiring. So I went right down and introduced myself to the woman behind the bar. Though she told me they didn't need the help, I slid my business card across the counter and said, "Give me a call if that changes. I've done everything from waiting tables and mopping floors to running my own restaurant in Napa Valley." As I turned to walk away, she said, "Wait here." Then she returned. She signaled me to follow her to a table where another woman was sitting. The two of them asked a few questions before they asked if I could start the next day as the manager hostess. I told them yes, but I had a few requirements. My nightly pay needed to be separate from the tip pool, and I would not stay past closing time. I would always show up sober, on time, not take bribes for seating people out of order, and I would watch over the restaurant and everyone in it. They agreed to my terms and handed me a set of keys to the office. When I arrived the next evening, the staff knew nothing about me, except I had the only keys to the office, which was alarming to me and resented by the crew, but I needed the job. The owners left town, giving me no instructions or introductions. All of this immediately revealed to me that this was going to be interesting and challenging, but it was a job and I did not have to think about it while I wasn't there, allowing me to focus on my art. Within minutes of arriving my first night, a small homeless alcoholic stumbled in and tried to get the wallet out of a man's pocket. The man was seated with two women and was clearly trying to show off. Jumped up out of his chair and positioned himself to hit the old drunk. I got there just in time to get between them and say to the homeless man, "Can we go outside and talk about this, please?" He smiled and said, "Sure," while following me out the door. When I saw the young man coming toward us, I said quickly to the homeless drunk, "Actually, I don't have anything to say." Leaving him outside, I closed the door behind me and stood in front of it on the inside to create a barrier between them. I locked the door behind me while the patron was threatening to kill the little old man. I got in front of him and said firmly, "He will not be coming back in, and you're not going to go out there. What he did was not right, but he's living in the street with nothing to eat. Obviously, his mental faculties are diminished, which is why he would try such a desperate attempt at picking your pocket while you were seated." "I should kill him and teach him a lesson," he shouted. I said in a scolding tone, "His miserable existence is his lesson. Please go eat your meal with your friends, knowing he has no meal or friends." He threatened again to kill him. I said, "If you're trying to impress your women friends with your courage to take on such a formidable adversary, a tiny old man who cannot stand or think straight, you should know most women are more impressed by compassion than brutality." He went back to his table and sat down mumbling. I brought the old man a small to-go cup of soup and said, "Just ask if you're hungry next time." He said, "Thank you, kind person," as he wandered away. It became my immediate policy to watch the sidewalk and try to intercept desperate people before they wandered in and offer to bring them a cup of soup if they waited outside. For the pennies this cost the restaurant and how effective it was in keeping peace inside, it seemed obvious, yet the crew who had been there for years were astounded. I was amazed no one thought of it sooner when there had been brawls regularly inside. My job was like a traffic cop at the intersection between heaven and hell. The most powerful tool I had was a kindness to redirect the dangerous ones back out the door gracefully. I said the same thing to everyone, no matter how they dressed or what they drove up in or whether they stumbled or strutted in. Everyone was greeted with, "May I help you?" The homeless who wandered in while I was sitting somewhere else would often say, "I'm hungry." I would reply, "I apologize, but I cannot give you a table. If you would be so kind to wait here as I escorted them out, I will bring you something to eat." Some would wander off before I could bring them something. This always worked to keep the peace. But if I was in the restroom when someone wandered in, it was chaos. The crew thought I had some magical power. They said, "He's never come in here before without a fight." How do you do it? I would tell them all you have to do is treat everyone with respect and show no fear. The restaurant was where tourists would come to see the latest street fashions and cool people. I felt like a babysitter in punk heaven. Every night, there were opera and theater goers sitting next to pimps and drug dealers. The out of town people had no idea of the sort of folks that were next to them. The bodybuilder busboy watched the door whenever I asked him to, as soon as he saw the effectiveness of my ways, and would tell me when dubious people came in. One evening, I went into the empty auxiliary dining room for a moment to get away from the deafening music everybody else seemed to enjoy. I was standing by the huge plate glass window at the far end of the unlit room. Staring out the window, taking a few deep breaths, I felt something ominous approaching. I turned around quickly to see a huge woman coming toward me really fast. Her shoe-polished black hair was teased and piled on top of her head, making her nearly 7 feet tall. She looked ready for a fight and like the sort of person who had been in a lot of them. The restaurant was so loud outside this room, she could have shot me and no one would have heard it. She outweighed me by more than 100 pounds, and I had not ever been in a fight. She said, "I don't like the way you've been sticking your ass in my boyfriend's face." Without hesitation, I said, "Thank you for telling me." This confused and disarmed her just long enough for me to get past her and run out the door where the busboy who had been looking for me stepped in front of her. She stomped back to her table. The busboy had appointed himself my bodyguard, which I'd never appreciated more. He didn't take his eyes off her until she left. After she had gone, the crew asked me what happened, and we all got a good laugh, trying to imagine me flirting with her emaciated, greasy, speed freak boyfriend. Another night, a white man stuck his face into the phone booth where a black man was on the phone. The two of them were about to punch each other when I got there and said, "People are having dinner here. Take it outside if you need to beat your chest like a couple of gorillas." Getting them to focus on me instead of each other, I continued, "Come on, let's go out front, because I want to see which one of you is the silverback." The white man left the restaurant. The black man finished his meal and then thanked me for stopping the fight. One early evening, I saw 3 rough-looking teenage boys walk up to the plate glass window carrying 2x4s. I did not have a good feeling about their intentions, so I went outside and said, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" They were clearly surprised I spoke to them. The leader said, "Just out for a walk." I pointed at the huge boards in their hands and said, "Oh, I suppose those are your walking sticks." "That's right," the leader said, and pressed his body up against me, pushing me into the window. He was trying to intimidate me. So I asked, "What's your name?" When he answered, I replied, "That's the name of my nephew I'm raising." Impressed that I was not scared or disrespectful, he said, "Hey, you have friends in the hood now. Let us know if you need any help on anything, and we'll take care of it." "Thanks, I appreciate it. But what I want is for you guys to take care of yourselves. And I think you should lose those walking sticks because they look like trouble. I have to get back to work now. Have a good night, and please be careful." Then there was the night I was looking across the street and saw 3 men talking, pointing at squids. Then 2 walked over while the third stayed behind. As soon as the 2 were outside the restaurant, they both started running toward the door. The first one started screaming, "He's gonna kill me." The second man ran in after him, and the third one waited outside. While the first 2 were yelling and running around, the third came in looking for purses left unattended by the people who got up to see what was going on. I recognized the first man from a previous experience when he was intruding on two women who asked me for help. I asked him politely to give them space. He was the only person in the year I worked there who threatened me, saying, "Come near me and I'll hit you." I said, "I asked you respectfully and you threatened me, so you have to leave." Now, months later, he was back with a plan to rob distracted diners. Luckily, the police had seen the robbery setup as they were driving by. They only caught one of the three men, but they could not arrest him since he hadn't been successful in stealing anything. I asked if I could talk to him and said, "If you are hungry, you could have asked for something to eat. I've not turned anyone away, but now you're not allowed to come in here again. In fact, if you need to walk down the street, you better walk on the other side." After he had gone, I offered the cops some food and sat down with them because it was the first time the police had ever shown up when called by squids. It had the reputation of being so rough, they didn't bother with it. I told the cops the people who work there told me they thought I was an undercover cop for a long time. The police said, "We know why, the way you talked to that thug." I don't usually talk like that, but he threatened me before, and tonight he was going to try to rob us. I always wore the same black pants and jacket that looked like leather, but was naugahyde to keep the smell of fried calamari from permeating my skin. The cook told me that I looked like one of Charlie's angels. Everyone else at Squid's had been there from the beginning. I was the only newcomer and the only one with the office keys. The owners must have hired me to scare the crew because someone was dealing drugs, though the owners did not tell me any of their concerns. I did not blame the crew for not embracing me under the circumstances. Raising my nephews and caring for my sweet, sickly mother made the income crucial, so I did not allow it to bother me either. Being avoided by the rest of the staff during my shift made my job easier since I needed to stay alert to not miss danger approaching. It was always close by. What mattered to me was that everyone stayed safe on my watch, not whether or not I was popular. After I'd been there for almost a year, I booked the extra dining room for my birthday and invited the whole crew and my friends. The entire suggestion was elegantly ridiculous, which was outrageously fun. Much to my delight and surprise, one waiter did a fire-eating act, another wore an enormous divine mask, and a third did a hilarious skit of a baby with a huge head. We had a hula hoop contest and a photo booth to document all the creative fun. Perhaps inviting the crew melted their cool hearts. Finally, everyone was warm and accepted me. This made it bittersweet when soon after I got my sign that it was time to go. When I came to work one afternoon to find a familiar homeless man had been murdered out front, I gave my notice and took only the memoirs of a squid with me. Thank you. Now let's show the art that's before and after this story. Those of you who've been here before know that the art doesn't have any literal connection to the story. It's just a moment to take some deep breaths and have a little meditative break between stories. Some of my stories are really quite heavy, which is why people told me that I should write this book and share my stories, because hearing them help them to heal. So that's why I'm doing it. And I really appreciate the help in getting the word out, because it's the part that I'm not good at. I am really a lousy self-promoter, and had I not gotten this grant, I wouldn't have faced my fear to get in front of the camera and read these stories, but I'm very grateful that the universe gave me a little kick in the booty to do this. I've learned a lot, and it's been deeply, deeply gratifying. So let's show the art. It's
First, we'll start with the overlay so they can.
This is New York. I did this in 1986, and when the terrible tragedy in 2001 of the planes flying into the trade towers happened, I went, Bodie was a little guy, and we were watching it on the news, and I went over to my fine art cabinet and got this drawing out. I did 7 cities at sunset, and in my entire hundreds, maybe 500 pieces of art I've done, this is the only one that I felt was ominous, and I put it away and never showed it. And then when that happened, I got it out. Like I said, I did it in 1986. And it's important that we know that creative expression is a free place to express everything and anything, and a respectful way to do it. So I think, well, I know that part of the reason it kind of looks like gold bullion bars on their side in a smoky sky is going into the trade towers on a visit there, going to New York and seeing the wealth and opulence of some of the city, and thinking about what I've known about since I was a little girl and saw poor people in Mexico living in cardboard boxes and orphanages. We collected stuff to bring down to these completely disadvantaged people that didn't deserve the circumstances they were born into. So I think I'm uncomfortable with showing off wealth and the disparity in the world between the wealthy that have so much more than they need and the poor that don't have enough. So it made me very uncomfortable, and that is what came out in that 1986 drawing. And Bodie's Bodie's gonna get the original, which I still have in my drawer. Like I said, I've never shown it. I feel like the world has got enough that's heavy and difficult. So, and so do I. Here's the original. Let's see how big it is. There you go. Okay, and then you can get the prints. So I, for me, and because I believe it's the best I can give the world, prefer natural harmony and natural beauty. So most of my art is birds and peaceful nature. Here's the print that we do. Bodie has made a web store. What's the?
ClareCooley.com/shop. You can see the link down here in the corner. ClareCooley.com/shop.
And
this is the 13 by 19 size.
We make that here, and there's another piece of art behind it. And this is more typical of the kind of art I do, which is, this is called reverse space birds. So we make these giclée prints here with archival inks and paper, and even the backing and the glassine are acid-free, so they're museum quality, limited edition, numbered and signed, and come with a certificate of authenticity. Because we do them all here, we don't have to add on a middle person price.
And we'll put up here. If you scan that QR code, that'll take you directly to Egret on a Branch, that print. That's the 13 by 19 print. So if you scan the screen right now on Facebook or YouTube, That'll take you to the web store. It'll take you directly to Egret on Branch, that particular print, but you can then go and browse all the other art on the store. So again, you can either scan that code or you can go to clarecooley.com/shop.
I'm so fortunate that my son Bodhi, the movie maker, is his YouTube channel. Mine is The Creativity Show, or ours is The Creativity Show. I'm so grateful that he asked me to work with him and named us Mother Son Productions, because I have a completely different skill set than his technical fluidity and expertise. And he's constantly learning and growing. And I'm constantly creating, making things mostly by hand, from dance to music to writing to art to decor. So we're a great team, and I love helping him to share his creativity with you. And his live read will be at 4 for his sci-fi novel, sci-fi thriller, Northport 1999. So I want to go into talking first, the light side of art. As I've said, anything can be expressed respectfully, creatively, without harming anyone, no matter how scary, angry, discouraged we might be. And of course, I prefer dwelling on the positive. So my art is full of the natural beauty in the world. And the focal point of my art has always been cranes. They embody everything I love: dance, vocalizations. They're beautiful. They fly over the Himalayas. There's so much that's inspirational. So Bodhi's going to share a little 2-minute video that he did about the cranes and my wonderful, mysterious inspiration. So
the crane promo video.
Crane promo video, 2 minutes here.
During this adventure with the cranes, it's always a thrill to meet kindred spirits that share these values. And when Clare Cooley came to our Crane Foundation to make sketches and paint all 15 species of cranes, it was very exciting to meet Clare and to keep in touch through the years. I'm always looking forward to what's around the next corner for her in her creativity.
It was an honor to walk among the cranes at the International Crane Foundation, the only place in the world that all 15 species of cranes live. Their captive breeding program helps to ensure the survival of these marvelous creatures. I hope to share with you the beauty of the cranes that sing, dance, mate for life, take equal care of their young, and live on 5 continents.
Choose from 40 crane paintings and drawings printed in Clare Cooley's home studio into large, medium, and small fine art prints. The small prints are printed on folded fine art paper so that they can act as a note card, the gift and the card in one.
A portion of the proceeds from my work goes to the International Crane Foundation to help protect cranes and their natural habitats. My art is motivated by a desire to bring nature's beauty into everyday life, to help inspire us to live in balance with our precious earth and all its inhabitants. I hope that the cranes inspire you as they've inspired me. Hi, thanks for watching that. I'm so fortunate to have a son who's inspired to help me and has these skills, and we learn together. This is the first live stream where we've been able to show previously recorded videos. So constantly learning and moving forward is what I want to talk about next. which is why creativity is so healing, life enhancing, and such a beautiful thing to have in our lives. And we did a number of interviews of luminaries in all kinds of different creative situations. Maybe you would read that little list I wrote this morning of some of the people that are in these little 30-second clip we're going to show you next.
So I'll read the names real quick. So Melody Behan, Executive Director of Minnesota Film and TV. Philip Gilpin Jr., Executive Director of Catalyst. Adam G., BAFTA award-winning filmmaker, TV producer in the UK. Marco Eveslog, an American Emmy award-winning cinematographer.
Those are just some of the wonderful people we got to interview in this little 30 seconds that Bodhi put together this morning to share with you today. People talking about creativity. You can see each of their interviews in full at on the Creativity Show YouTube channel. If you want to hear what each one of them said in answer to my favorite questions in life: what is creativity, what enhances it, and what diminishes it. So here's that 30 seconds. Go for it.
My question to everyone is, what is creativity? No wrong answers. What's creativity?
That's a really good question. I think the mind sort of wandering into either to seeing an ideal world, either a dream.
That will do for start.
That was very detailed and very accurate in my perception.
Say something. Yeah. So what we're going to talk about for the rest of this live read is creativity. And the reason, besides my own personal experience with it, helping me find joy and solace and in creative reverie, replenish myself. So that personal experience of how I've gotten through difficulties in my life using creativity, how I've healed by expressing all emotions creatively, because any emotion we express, we stimulate our immune system. Anything we express and walk away from and look at later, reflect on, we gain understanding, distance, objectivity, and each time there's healing until it doesn't hurt anymore, even the toughest stuff. And that's a beautiful thing, I think, is the best I have to share with the world. As a creativity coach, I was asked in my 20s to teach. I was very shy about it because I'd never gone to school, really. So what did I know? And people said, you know how to be creative. And over my life, I have heard so many times people say they wish they were more creative. And so I am all about helping people find and enhance their access to their own creativity and the confidence to express it and courage to share it with others. So that's my mission. And so we're gonna answer some questions on that subject.
Well, let's go right to a comment we got.
Sure.
From YouTube. I will show it on the screen. Tigger Tiramisu. The story you read today is one of our favorites from the book. The Twin Towers painting is hauntingly beautiful.
Thank you so much for both the acknowledgement on the story and yes, the trade towers it's very important that we ruminate on being more equal, sharing the wealth and the resources in the world, living in harmony with each other, and being more equitable and living in harmony with nature. We're part of nature, all the creatures, all the elements, all the materials are here on this beautiful planet, which is our only home. And I hope that my work and my love for this planet and everything on it, except for disrespect and hostility, I don't love that. Everything else, yes, I accept that. But I want to say something. I've been going through my writing that I've been doing since I was 12. And I found something that Bodhi said when he was, I think, 5. And I said, just out of curiosity, what do you think my purpose is? And he said, your purpose is peace, to teach people what's good in life or show people what's good in life. And I thought, wow, that's really nice. And so maybe that's why I've had to go through, or maybe that's what I did with the tough stuff I went through, is it's the counterpoint to what's good, what isn't good, and how do we get from not good to good. And that's finding a way to turn it all good, turn the difficulty into meaning that helps us heal and helps others by sharing it. So that's why I wrote the book. That's why I'm sharing my stories. I'm actually a private and shy person, as many artists are. So let's move on to the next question.
Right, you had some questions you wanted to talk about
Mm-hmm.
before, and then I'll talk about the book.
Sure.
Right,
So what is creativity is in all of the interviews. I ask everyone. And so my answer will change anytime you ask me, but there are some themes that run through it. And creativity, the reason little children are always creative is because they're not judging. They're not worried about, hopefully, most children are not worried about being judged or ridiculed, defined. They get to just play and explore and be curious and ask questions and keep trying new things without fearing the judgment of others. So creativity is curiosity. It's playful exploration. It's being open to try new things. It's the opposite of being set and stagnant, thinking we know enough, thinking we know it all, and that we're really smart or really learned or we're experts. Well, the only thing, in my opinion, that anyone can be a true expert on is themselves. And so how do you become expert on yourself? Is by exploring your own imagination, expressing your own creativity, and following your curiosity, whether it's about how blood flows or how water flows, how the light changes, whatever it is, exploring what you're curious about will lead you to joy and greater knowledge about yourself. So where does imagination come from? Everybody has it. It's that place where we allow ourselves to just not need to define or understand or be impressive to anyone else, even ourselves. It is the free association, free to combine things in a different way than we ever have before. And for those of you who have been to a number of these live reads, I'm giving myself permission to dress up and show, creative expression through my outfits. And it was hard for me to do that because we as women are taught to be modest and not show off and not speak up and not stand out, and that can happen to men as well. But it's a blessing. It's a gift we can give the world when we share our authentic style, our essence. The more diversity in any environment, the healthier it is. So the more people feel free to express their imaginations in their outfits, in what they choose to talk about, how they appoint their living space or their workspace, what they do with their free time, how they exercise, what they eat, social events. All of it is an opportunity for us to share our unique essence with the world. And the more people are free to do that, the wider perspective the world has. And we have some significant challenges in the world. And I believe that the freer people are to express their imaginations, explore their curiosity through creative expression, the more we're going to be able to collaborate to solve the issues in the world. So it's healthier to be free to create and express it. And it is joyous, and it is a place of rest, creative reverie. So
What do you want to?
next question is, what enhances creativity is acceptance, that it's not about right or wrong, good or bad, impressing anyone else. It is a place of joyous, pure expression, and just enjoy doing it. That's what enhances it, not what decreases it is the fear of judgment from ourselves, the people in our past who said not helpful, supportive things, or the people we fear in our future or present that are going to be critical. So we need to be the guardian of our own tenderness. The creative essence of our spirits is a very vulnerable place. And so, in my opinion, guard it, and as you would an innocent child, you still have that part in you, and don't let anyone bully it. And if they try, move away from them, and don't let them interfere with your beautiful, tender, creative expressions.
And Pamela Carbon commented on Facebook saying, "You are a peaceful warrior."
Thank you very much, Pamela. Thank you very, very much. That's a high compliment. And yes, peace is the number one for me of goals for me, and what I want to increase through my work, whether it's paintings, writings, dance, performance, just talking to people. And that does require strength. And I used to be kind to a fault, thinking I could help everybody because I love everybody. And then I went through a really long, very difficult, discouraging experience in my family. I called it an individuation, but it was a really long divorce from an attorney. And then I became kindness to be reckoned with, because I had to stand up for myself. I had no legal rights or funds, so I had to just stand up for my own right to be treated fairly, respectfully. And then I came through that long ordeal better, because now I'm just kick-ass kindness. And that is what it takes to, in my opinion, for me, to help others get the strength to keep being at peace, believing in peace, pursuing their own peace, believing that we can, as human beings, I do not accept that human beings are just violent and it's just part of humanity. It's a choice, and we do not have to choose it. We can choose respectful disagreement.
Right. And Steve Nekadin commented on the Creativity Show Facebook stream. When was the Twin Towers painting done?
1986, before the first bombing or before the trade towers, airplanes crashed into them. And as I said, my reason, I was very uncomfortable in that building, and I've always been uncomfortable with really fancy cars. I've never wanted to have one. I have like the most nondescript, non-standout cars you can have and through my life. I think showing off wealth can make us a target, and that be proud of accomplishments, but wealth, the most likely indicator someone will be wealthy is born into it. They didn't earn that. They didn't create that. That isn't something we should admire or give power. We should give admiration and power to those who came the furthest, had the least, and went the furthest. And the furthest is, in my judgment, the more people you've helped in your life, the more environments, animals you've helped. That's what I admire.
Okay.
So how can we harness our creativity, our imaginations, by enjoying them, by setting up a circumstance where we can play and explore, where we don't have to fear judgment, ridicule, by only sharing our tender creativity with those who have no hidden agendas, who only want us to enjoy our own imaginations and heal by expressing our feelings and share our unique aesthetic with the world. Only those people. And I have been greatly blessed to have a mother who was that, completely unconditionally supportive, and showed me how to do that. And I love offering that to others. And I love watching my son becoming, the fully creative, functioning person in this world, doing what gives him joy and what fulfills him to share with others. So play. Enjoy your creativity. That's what increases it. Appreciate any moments you have in your life to do that. I've had times in my life with 2 nephews and my mother on my, me, I was the only one, and there were court hearings with my very unhappy, not well older sister, drug addict, that I had so little time in my life for creativity, but I had 5 minutes a day, and I made sure that I used them. And I was happy when I did. And when I don't have any time, I was miserable. So whatever time you have, use it. Keep going. 5 minutes, 5 years later, you could have enough time to have a one-person show. I did the math while driving up to a gallery in Seattle by myself with my art. So do you want to be 5 years older, still complaining there's not enough time, or do you want to put 5 minutes a day into it, no matter how busy you are, and 5 years later have a show or a reading or show your video or whatever it is you love to do?
So Steve said kind of like a 15-year premonition.
Yes, I've had a lot of people think that the Twin Towers piece of art was a premonition. And I really don't have an answer to that. I don't know how it happened, but like I said, it's the only piece I've ever done that I put away because I just thought it was dark and ominous. And And as soon as the planes went into the building, I got it out of the drawer. Bodie and I were looking at the news, and I just went, wow. And like I said, I was very uncomfortable, and I thought, my rational mind said, it's because it's such a display of wealth in the center of the American, and I felt uncomfortable at the idea of showing off wealth when so much of the world doesn't have enough to feed their kids. So I don't know.
All right. And then on a happy note, Pamela Carbon responded, kick-ass kindness.
Thank you. Yeah, I like kick-ass kindness as my new
mantra.
My new mantra, my new
Your
handle.
mantra.
If I was a truck driver, that'd be my CV name. We're hearing icicles falling off the roof here. For those of you who are in other places, Duluth, Minnesota, lots of snow.
So we
love
got
it.
7 minutes here. Do you
Yeah, you want to?
tell them about the book?
Yeah, you go for it, Mr. Techne.
Yeah.
Astute.
Give me 1 minute here now. Now that
Bodie's going to share with you.
Right.
Yeah, we self-published an ebook, black and white color, and we're going to have an audio book come out later. Go for it.
Yeah, we're just we got the QR code right here to make it easy for people to get the full color version. Just scan with your phone camera that QR code down in the bottom corner. That's the full color. And as she said, it is, let me,
for tuning into this virtual visit, and thank you once again to the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding me a grant to do these and giving me a nudge to get out there and learn a little bit about promotion, which I totally admit I'm not good at, and so I do appreciate it. Plus, it's more important what other people say about us than what we say about ourselves. So if you know someone that would appreciate connecting the art, the writing, whatever, the creativity coaching, please tell them about me. And if they can't afford the book, but they would need it, love it, appreciate it, we'll figure out a way to get it to them. I'm all about increasing hope and helping people heal themselves, and sharing, more peace with the world and with each other, and who doesn't need that? So thanks for telling your friends, and thank you to Bodie for learning everything he's learning and continuing to, so we could do these live reads. His is at 4, and we will be doing these every Saturday, continuing. And my blog about writing started a few days ago, and all 10 blogs on the process from why write to self-publishing is coming out on a daily basis, and I'm very excited to share what I've learned by doing it. No expert, no academic technique discipline stuff. It's all about how I did it, and so you could do it too, and I hope you do.
Yes, and real quick, I'm going to come up front because Tigger Tiramisu mentioned there might have been some audio problems when I came on. So over there is the QR code to scan if you want to just go right to the book page and learn about the book. That'll take you right to the Amazon color book. The color paperback version is right there in the corner. You just bring up your cell phone camera and you scan it, and it brings up a link.
And I highly recommend the color with 68 pieces of art. I don't make any more money for it. It's a couple bucks more for you, but it's, I think, worth it because of all the art and 40 photographs. So besides the 68 pieces of art. So thank you, Bodhi, for learning how to do all this.
And her blog that she's putting out, which you can find on incandescencebook.com or blog.clarecooley.com, talks about this whole process of self-publishing and self-distributing the color paperback, the black and white paperback, the ebook. We're getting into all that detail. The blogs that are out now are more about her philosophy of why to write and what to write and how to break writer's block and stuff like that. I highly recommend checking it out.
Thank you so, so much for being here, and I really appreciate those of you who check in and say something. It feels like a virtual hug hearing from you, and thanks so much to everybody. And meanwhile, stay curious, stay creative, and stay safe and serene.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.